everybody. This is Katniss Everdeen greeting you from District 12. Welcome and hail to the 2016 inaugural Hunger Games.
See, and I was calling it the Purge. I actually did watch Purge election year last night instead of election coverage.
Okay, you are truly a sick woman.
Like Clockwork Orange, it was like lowering my anxiety level.
and that's as political as we're going to get, you guys, but let's just suffice it to say that we're both kind of in the doldrums, so bear with us. And actually, you are listening to Biters, and I'm Diane.
And this is Marnell.
Not the co-host of Last Resort.
Not anymore.
And I just want to, before we get too involved in the podcast, give Brian and his family a shout out. They had a little girl last week. Her name is Layla Ray. I hope I'm pronouncing the first name properly. Ray, R-E-Y. That's a big Star Wars commitment, dude.
Wow, that's awesome.
And
I commend you.
It looks like they're doing well. Marnell and I were just kind of giggling over a Facebook picture that Brian posted. So congratulations.
Yeah, dude. You kind of make cute babies. As babies go.
All right. So we're here to talk about season 7, episode 3, which is called The Cell. And I just want to revisit The Well real quick. I've got some numbers for last week and some preliminary numbers for this week. So The Well had 12.46 million viewers on the same day, which was down quite substantially from the premiere. Premiere was a little over 17 million. But The Well added 4.39 million in Live Plus 3. So it got up there. It just didn't have as much initial views. So, and The Cell, it looks like it has 11.72 million views. Just in the live viewings. I don't have the plus 3 viewings yet.
You know, I don't want to get political again, but this is a really interesting episode to air just before the election, because this was like, I don't want to call it a super downer episode, but it really didn't have that much that was really entertaining or interesting.
Okay, it was a super downer episode. I even agree there.
Yeah. I mean, they all can't be 5, Diane.
Okay, so what's your rating?
My rating is 2.8 dog food sandwiches.
Well, mine is 2.5 out of 5 fried egg sandwiches.
Oh, I was being generous. Of course, mine are dog food.
Yeah. I did write in parentheses, or would that be 2.5 out of 5 Alpo sandwiches?
And I almost called them Alpo sandwiches, but on the rewatch tonight, I noticed that it was A-OK dog food.
Oh, funny. You know, they have all these generic brands, just like, I don't know if you remember, but when we were talking way back in season 4, Morley cigarettes, the cigarettes that Daryl went for, that, oh gosh, in the scene where he and Carol ran into Noah.
Ah, okay.
The carton of cigarettes that Daryl was going for was Morley cigarettes, which are the cigarettes that David Duchovny, his character, smoked in X-Files.
The Smoking Man, yes.
Well, and so actually, you're right, the Smoking Man. I thought David Duchovny smoked every couple times, but you're totally right, it was the Smoking Man. Duh.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's kind of cool that there are these brands that kind of go throughout series as, this is our generic brand that really should be Alpo or Marlboro or whatever, and this is what it is.
Well, because it looked like a Pedigree dog food can. That's why it actually caught my eye.
See, when you have as many pets as Marnell and I do, you exactly know what these cans look like.
Exactly. So, I think it's kind of interesting that they don't product place.
I don't know. I don't know if I were the owner of the Alpo Corporation that I'd really be all that excited about my food being fed as a nasty thing to a beloved character.
That is true. You know, I watch Rizzoli and Isles, and they product place. You know, they will, be like, "Oh, do you need an aspirin?" You know, like, or
here,
like,
let me give you some bear.
or these Dr. Scholl's inserts for women are really doing the trick. You know, it'll just be like this tiny little thing, but you're like, oh, it reminds me of Wayne's World 2, I think.
Oh, right. I know, I think it was the first one, wasn't it?
Was it the first one? Yeah, where they were doing the product placements. I'm actually kind of surprised that, you know, we don't see like a little bit of that, just because it's a moneymaker and you can cut down on commercial breaks and... Yeah.
Well, we did with Hyundai. Remember that green Hyundai in season 2?
Yes, and you could win it.
Yeah, and it would be all decorated with Walker stuff.
That's awesome.
All right, so the title is The Cell, and obviously it refers to the literal cell that Darryl is being kept in. But did you see anything else?
The cell that everyone is in. I mean, that whole compound, the Savior's compound, is a cell. I mean, there is no escape.
That is totally what I said to myself as well. I was like, you know, the meta picture is that the whole Savior compound is a cell.
And to go even a little further, like, everyone is their own cell. I mean, you can't, I don't want to say be yourself, but you can't be normal.
Right.
I mean, you live in constant fear that your stuff's going to get confiscated by Dwight, or Negan's around every corner, and
or your wife is going to get confiscated by Negan.
Yeah, I mean, and there's the whole point system, and just like you live inside of yourself. You are your own cell. I mean,
yeah, I totally agree.
The next episode should be called The Hell. I mean, the well, the cell, and the hell.
I forget what it was called. It's a single word title, but I looked forward, but we're basically going back to Alexandria finally and seeing how the world copes. Service. There you go.
And my joke for that is service guarantees citizenship. Would you like to know more?
Which is what?
Would you like to know more? And for Diane, who probably doesn't get the reference, some of you, Starship Troopers.
Oh, God. I remember that book. I loved the book. I was not into the movie.
The movie is so campy and funny. It's awful. I love it.
Which is not the way the book was. It was serious and real, and Robert Heinlein should be a respected author.
They are rebooting it.
Well, I hope they get it right this time.
Yeah, because they're not going to be able to capture the campiness of last time. But yeah, that was the big joke. Whenever they would show the on-screen like advertisements for everything, you know, and signing up for service guarantees citizenship. And would you like to know more? And you could click on it and find out more. Yeah, it was funny.
Too funny.
But really, I mean, the next episode, service does guarantee you some sort of citizenship in Negan world.
It does. So we will watch it with that in mind.
Yeah.
I don't know if Brian's going to be back or not. I'm not sure what his life looks like with a brand new bebe.
I have no life. I live for fighters.
You know, I'm sitting here looking at my needle-felted replica of Lucille, realizing I have no life either, so I'm good with it.
Yeah, me too.
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to move us on to writer and director, but you go for it.
Oh, no, I was going to take us off onto a tangent, so go ahead.
So the writer is Angela Kang, and we've actually seen her name multiple times. She's been around since season 2. And the director, at first I thought, I don't recognize that name, and then I realized I'd seen it before too. So his name is Alric Riley. He's only directed one other episode, and it was Twice as Far, which was in season 6. But he's got multiple other small credits on things like NICS, CSI, Once Upon a Time. So he's pretty well known in television circles, it looks like. And of course I have a featured cast member. Who do you think I picked?
Dwight?
Yes, of course. I'm that predictable.
Yeah, because this episode was a day in the life of Dwight.
Yeah, it really was. And you know, one of the reasons that I picked it is that I was listening to one of the Walker Stalker podcasts. They're the guys who put together Walker Stalker Con. And they were talking about how people who play villains are often differently received at the conventions than people who don't play villains. They said, for example, the guy who played Gareth, people are kind of like, hi, nice to meet you, Gareth. and he said that Austin Emilio, who is the actor who plays Dwight, is kind of having a similar experience, but that he's a really, really nice guy and really talented. So, you know, it's just kind of that bummer of a really great and talented actor is being stereotyped because of the type of individual that he's playing. But we'll get into that.
I was going to say, yeah, it's someone who starts out as a villain doesn't always remain a villain. I mean,
Daryl.
look at, I was going to say,
Even Merle?
the pastor.
Oh, Father Gabriel.
Father Gabriel. Yeah. I mean, we haven't seen a lot of, I don't think we've seen anything this season, but, last season he really stepped up and was like, okay, I got your back. I get it now. So
it will be interesting to see how the rest of Alexandria processes things come this next episode.
Yeah.
Speaking of Father Gabriel.
It'll be interesting to see where Dwight's character goes too.
Right. And so Austin Emilio, Dwight, only had two. His IMDb bio was incredibly short.
Yeah.
He had two other credits: a movie called Everybody Wants Some that was produced in 2016, and a movie called Putting the Dog to Sleep that was produced in 2014. And quite frankly, they both sounded kind of depressing.
Okay, so Everybody Wants Some is sort of the 80s follow-up reboot to Dazed and Confused.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was supposed to be the 80s answer to Dazed and Confused. So that was the feel that it was kind of supposed to have.
So go figure that you would know that.
Yeah. I haven't seen it, though.
Okay.
Yeah.
You shouldn't have confessed that.
There's just too much good stuff on.
I know. And you know what? I have to say, and I'm taking us off on the tangent again, but I turned on the news this morning, and you have to understand, people who don't listen to the other podcasts that I work on with my friend Todd, I'm an obsessive news watcher, news junkie, news reader, and I lasted for about 30 seconds and turned it off.
Yeah.
So I think I'm going to be binging on some really good TV. So if anybody's got something they're dying to share, please hit us up on the Biters Facebook page, because I would love to find some serious distraction.
Yeah, I should find some comedy stuff. We all need a good laugh, no matter which side you're on. I mean, whether you're on one side or the other, one side is the world is going to the end, and the other side is like, oh my God, I hate people. The world is not going to end. So
hit us up with some good stuff to watch on the page. And now we will once again take a hiatus from the election.
What election? Alaska's just New Canada.
Right. Alaska is not New Canada. Alaska is still Alaska. All right. So we decided that since we had control of the podcast, we would go old school again. So we are once again doing the good, the bad, and the ugly. So what was your good?
I didn't have a really good this episode. My good was, we get to see Darryl, and we get to see that, he's not like having his fingernails pulled out.
Or being raped. Thank God.
Yeah. Yeah.
Although that would be a really good way to break Darryl.
Oh.
Just saying.
That would be a really awful way to break Darryl. Don't do that.
Yeah.
But he is being tortured with the most horribly catchy tune, Leave It to Negan.
Oh my God.
Torture him with Easy Street.
Okay, so I have to be honest. I watched Talking Dead, and I looked this song up, and it's by a group called the Collapsible Hearts.
The Collapsible Hearts Club.
Thank you. I was going to say I can't even read my own handwriting.
Featuring Jim Baiano and Petra Hayden.
And it was not on iTunes as of the airing of The Talking Dead. It is now trending on iTunes. So you people are sick.
Yeah, so when Dianne and I started the call, she's like, hello, and I just start playing the song, which would have been way funnier if her audio was working better. But I just thought it was hilarious to just break in with Easy Street.
My audio was set up for another purpose, that's all I can say. So yours was just seeing Darryl?
Yeah, mine was just finding out what is going on with Darryl and finding out that he is somewhat okay and how he is processing everything. He had a line towards the end of the episode when he's talking to Dwight, and he said, I won't kneel, and Dwight says, I said that too.
That's what I said, yeah.
And he said, he said, I get why you did it, why you took it. And you were thinking about someone else. That's why I can't. And I don't know where he was going with that. I don't know who is the other person, who is why Darryl can't bow. He can't kneel.
Well, so it's hard to say. And this kind of plays into my good, actually, because my good was just the whole process of breaking Darryl. And I don't think they're there yet, but I think there's some cracks.
Oh, yeah.
And I really thought, and it was this one specific moment when they taped when Dwight taped that photo of Glenn up next to him, obviously beaten, dead, tortured Glenn. I thought it was really, really a good moment because it reminds us of the season 6 finale, the season 7 opener. So it kind of ties us back as the audience that way. It shows us a map of Darryls Guilt, which I think has going to become even more and more significant. And it gives us that continuity, even though we didn't end up back with the main group.
Right.
So I thought it was a really good moment. And ironically, musically, Dwight chose to play Crying by Roy Orbison, which I thought was the perfect thing to play. And I think that really kind of succeeded in getting under Darryl's skin.
Yeah, I mean, Darryl cried so hard that he vomited.
Yeah.
You know, so.
And so that's the thing, though. Is it that he can't think about Glenn because the guilt is just too overwhelming? Is it Carol? Is it someone that he has a love interest in? I mean, does he still has he ever had a love interest?
So I have a little insight on Darryls Guilt.
Go for it.
I did a little bit of digging because I wanted to go back to the beginning of Sherry and Dwight from when we first saw them in season 5. Not even season 6, season 5.
Are you sure? I think it was season 6.
No.
Oh, man. All right. I'm going to have to IMDb that, but go for it.
It was in something accounting.
Always accountable.
Always accountable. So, that's when we met Dwight, Sherry, and Tina on the road.
Yeah.
And they steal, Darryl's stuff and they tie him up and everything. And they're like, we're not like these people. And
okay, meh. It's season 6, episode 6. Now, go ahead.
Good. Yeah, because I couldn't find it on my season 5 stuff. But so that's where we kind of meet Dwight, and he and Darryl have a little bit of a moment when Tina dies. Darryl helps Dwight dig the grave, and Darryl does bring the insulin back. I mean, there was a whole moment, and Darryl asked Dwight the 3 questions. How many people have you killed? How many walkers have you killed? How many people have you killed, and why? And invited him to Alexandria, him and Sherry. And so this could have taken a whole different turn. And then we flash forward to when Sasha, I'm going to get her name wrong, the doctor.
Denise
and Darryl were all walking on the tracks, and Denise takes an arrow through the eye, which was in the comics is how Abraham went out.
Right.
And then we see Dwight again, and Dwight is like, Darryl's like, I should have killed you when I had the chance, and Dwight's like, yeah, you should have. And so I think there's a little bit of guilt there too that.
Oh, that he's carrying Denise's death as well.
Yeah. Dwight killed Denise and Negan killed Glenn because of I mean, there's just the body count's racking up around Darryl and Dwight.
Oh, so. No. They're going to have a Carol moment. I can't kill anyone else.
So, but I think Dwight has an Endgame coming. He's trying to get Darryl to be on Negan's side to become on his side so that they can hamstring Negan. But there's all of this stuff between them. So, and Darryl's got a lot of guilt for all of it.
So who is Darryl actively not thinking of? Is it just that generalized guilt that we were talking about? Or maybe I should say specific guilt around specific people? Or do you think that there's actually someone alive, like back at Alexandria, that he's not thinking about intentionally?
There is someone alive. I don't know if it's Carol. I don't know.
Because he never really got an answer about what happened to Carol.
Right. And he and Carol weren't hanging out a lot ever since they really got to Alexandria.
Right.
He was hanging out with Aaron a lot. He went on runs and everything with him.
Right. Huh.
Yeah.
Well, so what's your bad?
My bad is Dwight.
Okay, so tell me.
Just that, like, I want to be sympathetic to him. I want to be sympathetic to everyone under Negan's thumb, but he's douchey about it. I mean, what was the whole thing with going to bed 39 and going through all of their stuff to get the mustard, and he cuts in line, and yeah, he's Negan's right-hand man, but I don't know, he doesn't have to be a jerk about it. And then the whole interaction with Gordon.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
I totally thought that he shot him in the back of the head. I thought he had some pity for him.
Yeah.
And it was at the very end where I was like, oh.
Yeah. Yeah. So, the interaction where he tells, like, Gordon's like begging him to shoot him, and he's like, no, I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna dig up your dead wife and feed her to the crows, and I'm gonna put everyone you ever talked to on the wall. And I'm like, wow, this dude is vicious.
Okay, so it's pretty hard to feel compassion for Dwight when you dredge up the dead wife and feed her to the crows.
I know. Like, I really wanted to have sympathy for him, because I kind of see where he's going. I kind of see that he wants out from under Negan's thumb, and he doesn't. I mean, he and his wife tried to escape, and you can tell he still loves her. I mean, he turned down happy hour at the, what bar.
I am so not going there. I'm just moving right past that one.
But he's obviously very in love with Sherry still, and she sacrificed herself to save him, and just that they had the whole interaction on the stairs where he's like, we made the right decision. It's better than being dead. And I really think that he was saying that to convince himself, not her.
I have some things to say about that, but not here. Not here.
Okay, yeah. So my bad was Dwight. I really want to be sympathetic to him, because I think that there's going to be a lot more to the Dwight character than just the bad guy, Negan's right-hand man. But he's not making it easy.
I agree. I had actually totally forgotten that whole interaction about digging up Gordon's dead wife. So yeah, nice find and nice reminder.
Yeah.
Well, my bad was that I kind of felt like this was a filler episode.
Yeah.
And I'm going back to, I'm pretty sure it's Jason Kabasi who said it, or maybe it was one of the guys from Walker Stalker Con, but they were talking about an episode that Michael Cudlitz was in, and they were like, this is a filler episode, we didn't need this, blah, 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 blah. And Cudlitz gave them a really bad time about it. So I kind of feel a little bad about calling this filler. But I mean, here's the question that I ask myself. Did we really need this whole episode to tell this story?
Okay, I'm the same way. I'm like, I think the story of the Savior's compound could have been done better.
Could have been within a story within a story, maybe. I don't feel like it needed a whole episode. And really, frankly, after such a high, starting out with really one of the best episodes ever with the season opener, and feeling like, yeah, they're back. And then just being so excited for me, I know that you and Brian didn't quite feel this way, but for being so excited with the big switch to the kingdom, this really felt like it dragged.
Yeah, especially because we have not seen hide nor hair of Rick's group, and I know that is weighing heavy on a lot of people. Brian.
And I actually think one of our listeners, I want to say it's Thomas O'Mara, said it looks like we're going to get a 90-minute episode next week.
Yes.
To cover our reunion with the main group.
Yes.
So that should be tragic and painful. Just what I need is another tragic and painful start to my week. All right, so tell me your ugly. Was it a good ugly or a bad ugly?
I Actually, you go ahead with the ugly. I have to find one.
Well,
I really don't have a lot to say about the episode.
Mine really was a good ugly, excuse me, because I really did like getting Dwight's backstory, including the glimpse of Sherry and what's happened with her. And I also keyed into that scene on the stairwell that you were talking about, but I read it a little differently. So, he says, yeah, it's a hell of a lot better than being dead. And I thought, this is the tragedy of Dwight. He's done all of this for Sherry. He's given all of this up. And yes, I realize that she's made a terrible sacrifice, becoming involved with Negan to kind of keep the both of them safe. But when I look at, I don't know, maybe I'm being totally sexist, but when I look at the suffering, I actually feel like Dwight's suffering is bigger. And the other thing is, I was thinking, Dwight and Darryl in lots of ways are the same person.
Mm-hmm.
And right down to Dwight taking his bike, Dwight taking his crossbow, but they are his vest, right? But they are having the same journey. It's just that Darryl is earlier in that journey. Dwight probably paid horribly and was broken in very much the same way that he's breaking Darryl.
Yeah.
And I just kind of feel that Dwight is trying to mold Darryl into himself, but become Darryl at the same time. It's kind of a weird Buffalo Bill putting the skin suit on thing. And my bad ugly really fast is Dwight's face. Holy shit, that's ugly. Oops, sorry. That's our one swear word for the episode. But yeah, they did a good job on ironing Dwight's face.
Yeah, they definitely did. And my other half and I were discussing it because he actually missed the part in the little efficiency room that they take. He missed the little bit where Negan was like, and I had to take the iron to his face.
Yeah.
Then we were buds, And so we actually had to go back yesterday, and I was like, see? And he does say, and he's like, that doesn't look like, he's like, when you take a hot iron to somebody, like usually like it's like a poker, like an iron poker. And
no,
I was
they actually ironed his face because they're being very true to the comic book storyline.
Right. And I was like, okay, I get how you could think that, but I thought iron, like a clothing iron, except for like you would think that there would be like some sort of outline or something, but maybe they actually did in multiple spots.
Well, and actually, if you look at a picture of Dwight as he was drawn in the comic book and the scarring that Austin Emilio has in the television series, they actually did a pretty good job. Replicating that. Yeah, definitely.
I wonder if we will get any sort of flashback or if they're just moving on from that part. Just, oh yeah, you got the iron to the face and that's, or if we're actually going to see some sort of flashback or something.
Well, so, I mean, that brings up a bigger thing for me. And again, not to get comic book spoilery, but I'm wondering how much of the storyline that happens in the comic book is going to be played out here. Because again, I haven't read super far ahead, but I've read a little further ahead than where we are now. And, and Scott Gimple is being pretty true to the comic book right now.
I was going to say, so, in the comic book, is there a prisoner in the Savior's compound with them? Because in the comic book, Darryl doesn't exist.
Right. No, that storyline is not accurate, but the storyline about Dwight being injured and Sherry becoming a wife to Negan.
What's up with that? Does he only have one in the show? Does he have multiple books? Because,
I don't know.
He just refers to it as, because he was just going to marry Tina, and then, and what's with marrying him? That was weird to me. Anyway.
I don't know. I'm hoping they'll explain that because, again, that's something where they could really change from the comic book, and I don't know if they're going to, so I'm going to be cagey.
Gotcha.
All right.
But I see that in the episode they could I think that we could have seen the Savior's compound more if they would have told the story differently. And it annoyed me that this was just a day in the life of Dwight.
And again, I don't know where they're going to go with it. I just don't. And I don't want to get too spoilery for people who aren't comic book fans, but I will comment that right now they're playing pretty true to the books, you know, with the obvious exception of, Darryl doesn't exist in the books, which we all know by now.
Yeah.
So
I do have an ugly eye. I put a little star next to it on my sheet.
Okay.
When Darryl thinks he's escaping.
Right.
And the other savior guys catch up with him, trying to get on a bike. And Negan comes out and he swings Lucille at him and Darryl doesn't flinch.
Right.
I love that, you know, and later on in the episode, the whole, who are you? You know, I'm Negan. Who are you? I'm Negan. Who are you? Darryl. You know, like, just, that is I saw some articles online where people were ragging on how this isn't the red, you know, the redneck we want in the apocalypse like he was in earlier seasons. And, you know, he's kind of like, people were just ragging on Darryl and being whiny online. And I'm like, no, the guy had like 5 lines in the entire episode.
Well, and I also feel like he's playing the long game.
Yeah.
And I don't have anything other than probably my own misguided affection for Darryl saying that, but I think that he's playing the long game and plotting and planning.
Well, and that, you know, I go back to, does he truly think that either I'm just going to hold out until they get bored and kill me? Am I gonna hold out until some other end? Or am I holding out just long enough for them to think that they really broke me and he'll slip into a character and start being Negan's right-hand man with the end game of killing Negan eventually?
I definitely think that the end game is, I'm going to really jack this group over, but I don't know exactly how he's going to arrive there. And I could be wrong, but that's just what I'm guessing.
Yeah, I mean... Yeah, I don't know what their plans are, you know, what the storyboard for this is, but I just wonder if he's intentionally trying to hold out as long as possible just to build himself up in Negan's eyes that he was harder to break, and he's just biding his time until he's ready. So
you ironically actually brought up the only 2 things that I had in my writing potpourri, which was both
Don't worry, I have plenty.
It was both of those scenes with Darryl, which is, in both of those scenes, I thought, are they going to kill Darryl? Are we going to have a third huge death, like, right away?
For a split second, I was like, ah!
Yeah, because, you know, when Negan walks out and says, are we pissing our pants yet? That's exactly what he said in the recap on season 7 and the season 6 finale.
Yeah.
And then when Darryl looks at him with just that defiance, and when he says, what's your name? And Darryl says, Darryl. I'm like, oh my God, he's going to kill Darryl now. So I really was not entirely convinced Darryl was going to survive this episode. But, you know, there are always people who say, oh, he's the cash cow. I don't know. I think one of these days they're going to really shock us.
Yeah, I mean, they're, you know, nobody lives forever, and especially in the zombie apocalypse.
Yeah.
You know? None of us are getting out of here alive.
All right, so what else do you have on your potpourri?
So, Dwight and Gordon, when, Dwight goes off to get, I think they call him a runner or escapee or something like that. Gordon is like, why are we letting this guy do this? He rolls in, you know, with a bat and everyone just starts kneeling down. He's one guy and there's all of us, you know, and I wonder the same thing. Is it just that he's got the whole tiered system where the guys that are close to him get all the mustard and fried eggs they want? And, you know, they get to choose a woman as long as she's willing, you know, like, is it because he's got that close knit, you know, tough guy gang around him that he rewards? Or, you know, is there something else? Are people somewhat grateful to him for keeping them from someone else that could be worse than him?
Okay, and I've got to ask you, in addition to all of that, what the heck is the relationship between Dwight and Gordon? They obviously know each other. Were they buddies? Were they out on the road together with the sisters? I mean, do they go that far back? I kind of got the feeling they went that far back. And then I thought, did I miss it?
I don't think so. I think it's just, you know, a close-knit society where everyone kind of knows everyone. And, you know, at some point, Gordon's wife died. So, you know, I'm sure there's some sort of a relationship there. But, you know, I don't think that they were close. But yeah, I don't know. But I do wonder why everyone just doesn't bum rush Negan, you know?
I am not going to make the obvious comparisons to Germany in the 1930s because I'm not going to lead to any obvious political comparisons that might piss off our listeners. Let's just suffice it to say that very often people can be overwhelmed by one charismatic person. And in this case, Negan's it, you know, and not only that, but when you're talking about a situation where everyone is in fear and in crisis, it's really easy for that one strong, charismatic person to take over and overwhelm.
Yeah,
it's human psychology, dude.
Can you keep that many people under your thumb for that long before it starts to break down? I guess the season will find out.
Right. I mean, I think that we may get our answer. But again, I don't know, because I'm not sure where they're going to take this. They always throw in just enough difference between this and the book that who knows?
Yeah. Yeah. So my other rotting potpourri was the letters on the sweatsuits.
Now, didn't you get some feedback on Facebook about that?
I did.
Okay.
I am actively searching for it. Cody Redbeard Stradley said that as for the letters, here's my theory. Negan mentioned working for points, so I think Darryl has an A because he is in the first phase of the point system. Maybe if he gets to Z, he will be completed and ready to join Negan's side, or at least be done fetching zombies for him, LOL. Also, the book, The Scarlet Letter, had a woman wearing an A. I feel like this is a potential callback since both Darryl and Hester Prynne, woman from The Scarlet Letter, are outcasted from their own communities. Just a hunch. Keep up the great work, everyone. So I gave this a little thought, and if A is the bottom of the rung, the other two guys that were working the Walker Wall were F and S. And S is pretty far down the alphabet, and you'd think you would not be working on the Walker Wall.
Beyond the Walker Wall at that point.
You know, that we have, you know, Daryl's at the beginning, like, yeah, so I'm not sure that's it. The only thing I could come up with was swear words that we can't say on the podcast.
Well, so these are a couple of things that I am not clever enough to produce on my own, but I saw them on the internet. So Sam stamped Rick's hand with an A when he first came to Alexandria. And of course, the train car that they were stuck in Terminus was A. And the name of that episode where they got put in the train car was A.
Interesting.
So, you know, there's definitely some symbolism, but I don't know exactly if we're on track with it or not.
Yeah, and weirdly on the rewatch tonight, at the back of Daryl's sweatsuit it looked like duct tape, and it looked like either a capital I or maybe a 1. So, yeah, I don't think those are accidents, but you know, Negan's group seems to have an affinity for spray painting. They spray painted that poor guy that they threw off the bridge when everyone was trying to get to Hilltop.
Right.
So, yeah, I don't know what is up with that. It's a mystery.
Well, so thank you, Cody, and everybody. If you've got thoughts about where the letters are going or what the letters mean, do us a favor and write in.
Yeah. So, did you notice there was a Walker Wall?
Yes, and there actually is. There was the Walker Wall in Clear that Morgan set up. We may see another Walker Wall in this series, and yes, you're right. They did a Walker Wall in Fear the Walking Dead with the whole muertos.
Yeah, this is the thing, and it's to me, it's so funny that like the in Fear the Walking Dead, the Walker Wall, like it didn't seem like any of the walkers were really interested in being up against the fence like they were in the prison, you know?
Right.
I just think walker behavior is all wonky.
Well, maybe it's beginning of the apocalypse versus end of the apocalypse. Or middle of the apocalypse.
I mean, they were staking these guys out, so they obviously knew they didn't want them to build up on the fence, or at least they wanted to be able to control them in some way. So, yeah. I thought the callback to the Walker Wall was interesting.
Huh. We'll have a little bit more feedback from Facebook, and then I think we close it out for the night, sister.
Excellent.
Okay, so Laura Willie Swink. Laura, good to see your name. Sent in a correction about the song that was used in The Well. Remember when the choral group was singing it?
Yes.
So Waylon Jennings did a cover of this song for the movie True Grit, but she said it's actually a Dylan song called Don't Think Twice. So thank you, and hello, Laura. And then Art Mora also sent us a private message, and it was just some of his thoughts about this episode. He said, I like the Dwight character in episode 3. I think in the comic, he's one of the characters that rebels against Negan. They have been setting up Darrell and Dwight for some time. I hope the two join forces after some dark, horrible, and intense times. I don't think the kingdom is trying to poison the saviors. That would be a dangerous move, and Ezekiel is trying to keep his people safe, even keeping half of the bargain from them. I think it's just to fatten the pigs up as cheaply as possible. Keep up the good work.
Excellent feedback.
Yeah, and for some reason I thought there was some other feedback too. So I just want to make sure I'm not missing anything. So you agreed on the meh. I was thinking it was Brian who agreed on the meh. Yeah. Because that was kind of my reaction was meh.
Yeah, I mean, they all can't have, major characters dying and tigers, but...
Right.
Really,
oh,
this is
so
very,
funny.
very meh.
That's right. It was the tigers, man.
Yeah.
Let's see. Also, Cody gets points for a great welcome to Brian's little girl. Congratulations on the little ass kicker, Brian.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Let's see. There is someone new who responded to the podcast, Sandra Kozlowski. Welcome. She was not real keen about Morgan. She kind of feels like Lenny James just really overacts. And I told her, I'm sorry that you think he overacts. I really love him. Maybe you'll come to love him in this season as well. If you do, it probably means the producers and writers are building him up to kill him off.
Probably.
And then Nikki Campbell-Keith said the levity of the episode about the kingdom, was a welcome change from the previous. I liked Carol's and King Ezekiel's interactions, and Morgan was much less annoying. LOL.
Yeah, I liked Carol and the King's interactions when they had dropped their pretenses. But before that, her whole golly gee June Cleaver crap.
I just like it because I think there's so much more to Carol. And by the way, I still think I need my bad dog, Teddy the dog, Negan shirt. I'm just seeing that in our feed as well. Well,
somebody sent us a hilarious picture with Negan was standing over the Scooby Gang.
Oh gosh, you're right.
That?
I saw that. Where was that?
It was in our messages.
Let's see. I'm not cool enough. Yeah. I'm not getting it pulled up.
Me either.
So whoever sent us that was really funny, and thank you for sending it to us. It was kind of one of those Scooby-Doo and Shaggy and the gang find out that humans are the baddos all along.
Yeah. We'll have to find it and share it on the page.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was super funny.
All right. Well, I think that's probably it for the night. If we missed anybody's feedback, I'm really sorry. And keep on keeping on. Keep sending us some feedback because we sure love it. It keeps us going. Yeah. We'd love to share it.
Give us a like and share and a rating on iTunes and wherever else you listen to us.
And I'm not sure if we're going to see Brian this week or this coming week or not, but we'll let you know. You'll know when we know.
Yeah. The next episode is Service, and it is an hour and a half long. We return to Alexandria.
All right. Take care, everybody.
Take care.